The first thing I want to go over today is our rules for live. The very first thing is mute yourself as soon as you come on. This is to limit any background noise or from me hearing anything that's going on. If we do have more than 2 people show up, which we'll see if that happens, but if we do have more than 2 people show up, then if we have a lot of background noise going on, it'll make it hard to teach, hard to get the actual lesson across. So that's important for us, is having you show up and mute yourself. The next thing that you could do is remain muted unless you have a question. You can either ask a question using the Q&A in the Google Meet, or physically raise your hand and I'll see you, as long as your video camera's on. If your video is not on, I obviously won't be able to see you. So I would think that's self-explanatory, but I've had some issues with that in the past. Like, hey, I raised my hand and you never saw it. Well, I can't do anything if your camera's not on. So in order to do the question and answer, if you look on the toolbar up at the top, you'll have the little where you can see all the different people in the meeting. There should be a circle, a triangle, and a square. If you click on that, it says activities, and then you go down to Q&A, and you'll be able to ask a question through there. So then down at the bottom, you can click the ask a question. But other than that, no reason to really use that toolbar. In general, as soon as I see your hand go up, I will know that you have a question. But if you don't even want to do that or have anyone hear you, you can just do the Q&A. The nice thing about that is that if you're doing that, then it makes it so that I can hide your question. I know they say there's no such thing as stupid questions, but I've definitely heard more than one. So it makes it so that I can hide what your question was and bring it up later if we need it. Number 3, be attentive. I know that math and STEM is not the most fun thing for a lot of people, so just pay attention to what's going on. Don't fall asleep. If I hear you snoring, that's probably going to be an issue for me as a teacher. Might be an issue for you as well. Number 4, come on time. So obviously today we started a couple minutes late, but in general, they want us to start our Google Meets at exactly the time that's listed, whether you are here or not. I don't know why I would have to teach to an empty Google Meet, but that's what they want me to do if no one shows up. So I will just be teaching myself. Last one is, I apparently didn't type anything, so number 4 is the last one. The other thing I was going to say is, as far as being attentive, just make sure that you are either with this stuff, it's a little different. It's not like you have to take notes on it, but you can be working through it at the same time as you are actually learning. So this class could be easy this way. There's still talk that they would be able to maybe have me just post a video for this class, because it's so much different than any other class, but we'll see. All right, well, that takes us to our lesson for the day. Does anybody have any questions to start with? I didn't think you did, most likely. You're good? All right. Okay, so let's go into our CS First classroom. Yours is going to look a little different than mine, but if we go down to the art, same way that you've been doing it, and then we can scroll down to digital art, click start, and then just open the starter project. So with this starter project, it starts out and it has a bunch of code for us already. I'm just going to walk through this code a little bit to kind of show you what it's talking about. Some of you may be able to look at it and tell what it's talking about right away. Basically, when the green flag is clicked, the first thing it does is erase anything that's there. There's nothing in this one but the backdrop so far, so there's nothing for it to erase in this case. And then it's going to go to this x coordinate that's negative 240, and where the y is 180. Negative 240 and 180 is going to be in the upper left-hand corner. If you think about our xy axis, if the y-axis was here in the center, then going all the way back to here would be negative 240. All the way on the right side would be positive 240. 180 is at the top, negative 180 would be at the bottom. So that's the first thing it's going to do, is it's going to go to the upper left-hand corner. Then it says repeat until the y position is less than negative 178. So that means it's going to drop it all the way down until it goes to the bottom. Oh, sorry, it is in Computers, Art, and Pixels. So this is saying that we're going to start at the top and work our way all the way down to the bottom. That's why the repeat until is in there. After that, it's saying change the y by negative 3. So it's going to continue to change the y, going down 3 each time until it goes from the top to the bottom. Within this repeat until loop, we have another repeat until loop, and that's changing the x. So it's changing the x from negative 240, and it's going to be going up the entire time. So it's going to go up all the way to 240. So this is when x is greater than 235, changing by a value of 3. So it's going over 3 units each time. And you'll see it says switch custom to sensor. If I go down here and look at the scanner sensor, which is our costume that we're in right now, it's a little red dot. So this is saying it's going to start at the top, work its way across the screen and down, and it's going to make a dot every 3 units, going right and down. If you can guess, if we started this project right now, it's actually going to take a long time to work its way across the top. You can kind of see the little red dot. Let me see if I can see it working its way across the screen. So that's what our little red dot is doing. Now, I don't want to sit and wait for it, so we can actually speed this up. Just click stop and go over to edit and turn on turbo mode. That'll make it so this actually goes so fast that we can barely see it occurring. And when I click the green flag, I'll actually see it work its way across the screen and down. All right, well, this should have made a red grid on my page. I don't know what happened on mine. Did it work for anybody else's? Do you have like a red grid across here now? Come on, man. That's a start. Oh, you know what it is. It's working its way across and down, but I didn't put a stamp in yet. I still have to put the stamp in. So now to put this stamp in, we click pen on the bottom and then put the stamp in. And I'm going to drop it in right below the change X by 3. There we go. Now once I click that green arrow or the green flag, it's going to make that whole process start. So the first time it was just working its way across the screen. Now that we put a stamp in, it works its way across the screen and down. It actually stamps every time it hits. Now that we look at this, we have kind of a grid here. And the thing with the grid is, it shows us how we can actually do things within our photos. So that's going to basically break us down to pixels. Most of you have seen the movie Pixels. I don't know if you all saw it. It wasn't that great of a movie. But pixels are just little blocks that make up the picture. So there can be thousands of pixels in each picture. And each one has a different color or a different shade to it that might change what the actual picture looks like. Pixels are used a lot as we look at today's world. Pixels are used every time you see a Snapchat filter. It'll change the actual pixels on the picture that it's taking. So every Snapchat filter, every Instagram filter, all that stuff is just changing the different colors of the pixels in order to make it work. So every time you put those stupid dog ears on with the tongue hanging out, all it's doing is changing the pixels around your mouth to a pink and changing the pixels up on your head to the dog ear colors. That's all it's doing. So each individual block changes as you move around with those on. It's actually changing the pixels aligning with your face. That's it. The Snapchat filters where it gives you the rosy cheeks or whatever, where it looks pink, they actually are just changing the pixels on the screen to match your, to make it pink, where it detects your cheekbones. So this is going to be a very extremely basic version of that. We're going to learn how to program to change our pixels. I mean, if you think about the first person to come up with that, those filters, they probably make a ton of money. So in order to do this, to actually create these pixels, or the changes in colors of the pixels, we need some statements to work. So I'm going to go to Control now. I'm going to put an if, blank, then, or else statement. I'm going to go very basic black and white photo here. So I'm going to drop this in. Actually, right above the stamp. And I'm going to move the stamp down. So I just drop that in under the change X by 3. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a black and white photo, as I said. The way that I'm going to do this is I already have all the buildings in black. So I'm going to make my windows white. And I'm going to make my sky white. So it's going to get rid of all these clouds and everything. The way that I'm going to make this work is I'm going to do each individual pixel. And I'm going to go into Sensing and drag the touching color over. You see how whenever I hover over this hexagon, it gets like this white frame around it? I can drop it right in there. So if it's touching the color, and now let's change what the color is. And if you do this little eyedropper, it will allow you to select a color on your screen. Before I do that, I'm going to stop the program, click Erase All, so that I know that I'm getting just black. So do the little eyedropper, and now you see if it's touching black, then I'm going to do something. So if it's touching black, I want it to be black. So I'm going to go up to Looks. Our costumes are white, black, and center. I'm going to go up to Looks. And under Looks, I'm going to do Switch Costume to. So if it's touching black, costume switches to black. Now if I run this, everywhere it's touching the black turns black. So it's going to really outline my buildings in black. Now you'll notice that there's an else on here. And that's going to be where I say anything else. So if it's not touching black, if it's touching any other color, it's going to, and we'll do Switch Costume to white. Now if I run this program, everywhere that's not touching black turns to white, and everything that is touching black turns to black. So my outline of the buildings, which were blue, is now turning to black. Literally everything else turns to white. And as I said, this is the most basic form of a black and white filter. Now normally if you see black and white filters, it's going to turn things to gray. But this one is just programmed to turn everything either white or black. Are there any questions about this filter? Or about what we've done so far? Since this is what you're doing for the assignment, if you followed along, kind of, you could just do what I did. Otherwise, you can watch the video. I am still posting videos every day, so just watch the video.